Hello and a very warm welcome to Toals Bet. Grand National fever has struck. We're just a couple of days away from the Grand National, so we're going to have a bit of a preview and look at some of the runners, some of the trends, some of the angles in to the Nations race. Chris, start off with favourite Grand National memory?
There's been plenty, Colin, over the years. One of the first ever winners back in the Grand National was number 6 Valverde. Way back in...
It's gone back a while.
2006, maybe showing my age here, but yeah, that was one of the first horses that got me into racing, actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you were at the 2008, which was my first ever bet on a horse, Comply or Die, which won the National that year, backed into around 7-1 joint favourites. So you were there for one of my favourite memories of the Grand National as well.
That's right.
So it's the Nations race, Chris, so give them a winner.
As always, Colin, it's a very tough race to gauge, isn't it? 40 runners. But here at Toals we're paying 5 places. So of course there's plenty each way value, I think.
There is indeed, and that's right, we're paying 5 places, and there is plenty of each way value, and we'll start off with some of the horses that people like to back are grey horses, and grey horses, there's been 3 winners in the past in this race. The most recent one, the only recent memory, is Neptune Cologne, who won around 33-1, but this year there could be a grey horse winning. We like a couple of them, don't we?
Yeah, there's a couple at the top of the market actually. Vintage Clouds is one, trained by Sue Smith, owned by Trevor Hemmings. Sue has trained the winner of the National before, only a few years ago, Aurora's Encore. Trevor Hemmings, the owner, has won the race 3 times, going for his 4th win. Previous winners, Many Clouds, Bella Briggs, Hedge Hunter.
Vintage Clouds, recent enough winners as well, and Vintage Clouds was a horse I certainly liked for this last year, but he didn't get weighted in, and he was fancied for the Scottish National, he was fancied for the Welsh National, didn't quite run his race, but bounced back to good form at Cheltenham, finishing in the money in the Ultima behind Beware the Bear. And this test looks perfect for him. Over 4 miles, he's a Dar stare, and he gets in off a very lightweight. I think he's the best each way angle in the race. I would certainly agree.
Yeah, Vintage Clouds, and also Lakeview Lad actually finished 3rd in the same race. Vintage Clouds
only a length behind, and was closing, but potentially at the finish as well.
So I think that they're both good each way prices.
That's right, and Lakeview Lad had to carry top weight in that Ultima, which wouldn't have helped over that trip, and this he's carrying I think 11-1, so you know, carrying the less weight might see him to better effect. I think they've both got good each way chances. The other grey I like in the race is Ramses de Telly. For David Pipe, who's been a bit quiet over the last couple of years, but his horses have been running really well the last couple of weeks. This horse had wind surgery, needed his first run of the season, but since won a very, very valuable race at Chepstow, which seems to be his track. But he proved it's not just his track last time with a very good second, and he was only just behind Elegant Escape in the Welsh National, and David Pipe's horse is running so well at the minute. I think he's overpriced at 25-1 given what he's achieved this season, and he's only 7 years old, which isn't great for a Grand National winner, but he's a very tough 7-year-old. I would worry that it's been a tough season for him with the amount of big races that he's contested, but Ramses de Telly is one at a big price that could go well. Keep an eye later on in the week for a grey winner. We're going to have a grey winner. If you fancy, you can have all 3 of them collectively in a bet. We might have By Dazil also in it, who ran in the race last year, but Lakeview Lad, Vintage Clouds, Ramses de Telly are certainly grey horses that can go well. Female jockeys, Chris, we had a few more last year than potentially expected this year. Unfortunately, Bryony Frost, one of the star jockeys of the season, is out, but it's Lizzie Kelly. She'll be on our usual T for 2. And Rachel Blackmore might pick up the ride on Valser Lido. Any of those 2 horses, any jockey preference potentially for you with those 2?
I mean, Lizzie Kelly's at the top class jockey, so is Rachel Blackmore. As you say, we're not 100% certain if Rachel's going to have a ride in the race, but hopefully she does. She's a top class jockey. Lizzie Kelly on T for 2. It's a good horse. I don't think it's a horse that's going to be placing, to be honest. It'll run a solid race, but I can't see it in the first 5 this year. It
certainly seems to be his best age behind him. They've mixed up his campaign, cross-country entry and stuff, and it's hard to know where he's at in comparison to his old ability, but certainly Lizzie gets on very well with the horse, so I wouldn't suggest anybody going off Lizzie Kelly. And now song titles is a good angle in this, because we always look at the Grand National as... It's hard, sometimes it's just picking your favourite number, or picking a song title, or picking a name that stands out or has some kind of meaning to you. Now, Rule the World is a classic example a couple of years back, a horse that had never won over fences, turned up at the National 66-1 winner, and a good winner that day in very tough conditions, but it just shows you that That's a Take That song. That was a very well backed horse for that price. This year we have 2 song titles: Rock the Casbah, Richard Johnson looking for that elusive win in the race, and Pair of Brown Eyes as well. And that's a horse we know plenty about.
Yep. We were at the Naas Racecourse last time. Pair of Brown Eyes won the Leinster National.
The Toals Leinster National for the 2nd year in a row. Pair of Brown Eyes won the race. We spoke with Connections after the race, and this horse has had a huge ability, but he's had his problems with injuries over the years. He's been very well looked after by Connections. They only own this horse as far as I'm aware, and this has won the Toals Leinster National the last 2 years at 2 different tracks as well, showing its versatility. It's won at Gorham Park the first of the 2 years, and then it won at Naas very recently, less than a month ago. So Pair of Brown Eyes could be a fly in the ointment here.
Yep, and as you say, we were speaking to Connections at Naas Racecourse. They've actually had a runner in the National before, Slim Pickens, a few years back, which finished 3rd in the Grand National, so they've been there and they've had a taste for it. So I'd say they'd be quite confident Pair of Brown Eyes on the big race.
Pair of Brown Eyes could be certainly one. Of course, it is a Pogue song. Rock the Casbah is a Clash song, so if you're each way inclined to those bands, they could be ones to pick. They're fairly prominent in the betting. We've got Rock the Casbah there at 18 to 1 and Pair of Brown Eyes at 22 to 1, so they're on the first page of the betting, in the top 10 of the betting as well, so 2 ones to certainly consider. Have a look at the trends, Chris. Some of the trends I was able to point out. 12 out of the last 12 winners have had at least 3 runs that season, so you're looking for somebody that's just been laid out for one race, one prep race. You know, you want to find something that's been running consistently and consistently well. I think 10 of those last 12 winners have had a win that season as well, and they've ran in the last 42 days. That seems to be a common trend. So Cheltenham form traditionally doesn't really work out of the injuries, particularly in the National, though Tiger Roll was an exception to that last year. But would you be following any Cheltenham form, you know, when you're looking at a Grand National race?
As you say, you know, sometimes horses can be tired after Cheltenham. You know, Cheltenham is a tough race track to win at, and they do come out of it sort of overexerting themselves. But as you say, Tiger Roll last year being the exception, he heads the market at the minute at 4 to 1 with Toals.
Let's start with Tiger. Let's move on to Tiger Roll, because obviously the lowest SP we've ever seen for a horse is 5 to 1 at a Grand National, and we've got Tiger Roll sitting there. And Toals we're best price in this at the minute, 4 to 1. He's 7 to 2, pretty much flat across the board. We're going 4 to 1. Tiger Roll. Can you back a horse to win the National at 4 to 1?
Normally, I would say no. I can't. But with Tiger Roll, you know, the horse for me is, he could be one of the greats in terms of the Grand National. The last horse to win it back to back was Red Rum back in the 70s. Tiger Roll definitely could do it. He's been in incredible form this season. Won over 2 miles, which is an inadequate trip for the horse.
In a hurdle race, at 25 to 1, and a decent hurdle race, and he trounced the field that day. He's a Triumph hurdle winner, he's a 4-mile winner, he's incredible. And we're fortunate enough to see the horse at Naas recently, at Navan recently, and they had 4 Cheltenham winners on display, and I couldn't believe how small physically a horse he is. And my concern with him being is Bristol Demise come out, so he's carrying a bit more weight now than he was anticipated to carry. But listen, you cannot knock that horse. You know what he's achieved, and look, if a clear round, he's the most likely winner, isn't he?
Yeah, well, one word of caution I would say about Tiger Roll is, if you look back at last year's race, he did win it, but he was tiring in the running. There's another horse in the race, actually, Pleasant Company, who finished 2nd, who was closing Tiger Roll down. And if you look at the race again, maybe 1 or 2 strikes after the line, Pleasant Company actually was in front after the line. So that is a possibility that Tiger Roll doesn't. Obviously, he won the Grand National, so we know he's a trip out, but he's not an assured stare as such.
Yeah, I can understand that. You know, a bit better ground this year will certainly see him in better light potentially. They've always said that he'll prefer a good ground, but he's had some dominating performances in the cross country and softer ground, and of course winning the Grand National last year. We do have a stat for the last 12 winners. 6 out of the last 8 that have ran in the race the next year have made the top 10. None of them have won. So as you said, the last one to win back to back is Red Rum, and so he does have to defy trends at the price, but look, he's a fantastic horse. He deserves to be favoured. He might just be a wee bit short in the betting for me. So Chris, who are you going to go with?
I've backed a few in the race. I've backed Vintage Clouds and Nephew Lad, as I mentioned earlier on. One other that I have backed is Maldini, trained by Pat Kelly. Same connections as Presenting
Percy. Yeah.
Yep. Maldini he hasn't actually won over fences before. But as you mentioned earlier on,
Rule the World
hadn't, and he went on to Grand National glory. So Maldini, he ran over 2 miles last time, which is an adequate trip for the horse. I fancy the horse to run quite well, 25 to 1 or so.
He seems to put himself into contention nearly every chase that he runs into. He was coming to win the Kim Muri, just couldn't get past Missed Approach that day last year at the festival. Certainly seems like he's been targeted for this race. So Maldini certainly has put himself, and he's off a nice low weight, and as you say, not winning over fences. I would have said no chance in the past, but Rule the World obviously defied that.
That's
so Maldini could be a shout.
Yep.
I like the Greys in the race at a bigger price, other than Pair of Brown Eyes, who we have to follow the Toals Leinster National Forum with. We all have to support that horse at Toals. Jury Duty is interested. He won over in America with Robbie Parr on boards. He had his run at Down Royal. He gave Mala Beach £10 and thumped him over 3 miles at Down Royal. Gordon says he likes good ground. Remember, he was the favourite for the 4 miler at the Cheltenham Festival last year, which was won by the other horse I like in the race, Ralph Findon, but I'll move on to him in a second. But Jury Duty was highly fancied for that race. He has to prove that this is a trip for him, but a lot of these will come in with stamina concerns over this trip, because a lot of them obviously haven't raced over this trip. But I think that horse is in very good form, and I think he's got a bit of a Tiger Roll kind of vibe to him, I think, because he's capable of winning over a variety of distances. He's pretty versatile on ground. He's won America. He's won quite a collection, a variety of races, and he could be just a horse. He's carrying 10 stone 11, which is a nice kind of weight to be carrying in this. Robbie Parr gets on well the horse. He rode him over in America. He could be interesting at a price. There has been a bit of support. We've got him down there at Jury Duty 22 to 1. So he has been supported in from around 32s into 22s. So Jury Duty is certainly one that could go close. But moving on to probably my strongest fancy of the race, and this is it's the Grand National. You're a larger heart of your head. It's a Grand National. You gotta think, who do I want to win? Who do I want to back? And I'm going to go with Ralph Findon in this, who's currently sitting at second favourite, and I'm knocking Tiger Roll's price. And Ralph Findon's second favourite, but he's 10 to 1. He's a double figure price, just about. And look, I backed that horse for the 4 miler at Cheltenham last year at the festival. Patrick Mullins gave him a terrific ride that day, and I think the way he runs, he could be really dangerous in this. 4 miles doesn't seem to be a problem. He's another one, he can win over 2.5 miles. He's won summer tracks, summer weather, 2.5 miles track. He's very ground versatile, but his running style is very suited to this because he comes from the back. Obviously you need a bit of luck in running, coming from that far back, but he's a real hold-up horse. He might just stay out of the middle traffic, as such, and it's yet to be confirmed who's going to ride him. I'd imagine Ruby will choose Ralph Findon. Ruby will have first pick, and I imagine Ralph Findon will be one. They do have a couple of other good contenders, obviously, but I think his style of running, the way he stays, his versatility, he's a good bet in this race. I think Ralph Findon would be my number 1 pick.
And as you said, Ruby Walsh on board as well. It's a fantastic record. The Grand National, he has won it before, so that's another positive for the horse as well.
Certainly, out of all the current jockeys, he's got the best record in the race. Obviously, he gets some privileged bookings, but you can't knock Ruby's form in the Grand National whatsoever, and that can only be seen as a plus for Ralph Findon. So Vintage Clouds, Lakeview Lad.
Yep, and Maldini, a good each way shirt as well.
And I'll go with Ramses de Telly, Jury Duty, and Ralph Findon as mine. Yep. And don't forget, we're paying 5 places for this year's Grand National. We'll have a number of specials available to avail of in our shops and online, and it is double the odds on your first single bet on toalsbet.com. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to get involved and get into the national fever. You've heard what we fancied, so best of luck whatever you go with.